Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us here on Seahawks Today. With the NFL draft in the rearview mirror, we are talking free agent targets. What could John Schneider and Mike Macdonald do to shore up the Seahawks roster before the season begins? I got 5 potential free agent targets at 5 different positions that we will discuss here on today's show. Before we do, folks, we are just 4 months away from Seahawks football. It's going to get here sooner than you know it, folks. If you're ready for the season to start, if you're excited about Seahawks football, like the video, and we'll get started with today's show. Smash that like button, show some love for your Hawks, and we'll get started here. All right, let's begin with Tyler Boyd. And I'll be honest, Tyler Boyd is not a guy that I did not think we would be talking about at this point, but here he is, still available. And the longer he stays available, the cheaper his cost gets. And I know what some of you may be thinking. The Seahawks don't need a receiver. And you're right about that. The Seahawks don't need a receiver. But if Tyler Boyd is still out there, he would be an upgrade from Jake Bobo. And you could still keep Bobo around as your number 5 receiver, which is probably more the role for Jake Bobo anyway. And you bring in Boyd, there would be no question who the best receiving core is in the National Football League. And if I all of a sudden have a receiving core with DK, Lockett, JSN, Tyler Boyd, and Jake Bobo, then I have an excuse to throw it 40-plus times a game. If the Seahawks want to get in a shootout with anybody in the National Football League, all of a sudden they can. And teams start to fear this offense. Not to mention you have some good running backs as well. If the Seahawks just say to themselves, you know what, we've made up our minds. We want to have the most explosive offense in the NFL. You know how you can do it? You can go get Tyler Boyd. That's how you can potentially do that if you want to go that route as far as that goes. Numbers from Tyler Boyd, as you can see, 67 catches this past season, 667 yards, over 10 yards a reception, and 2 touchdowns this year, played in all 17 games. The year prior had 58 catches, 762 yards, and 5 touchdowns. I would be surprised if he ends up in Seattle, but I wouldn't say it's impossible at this point. We'll see if Tyler Boyd's that guy or not. What do you guys think? Tyler Boyd? Should Seattle make a run at Tyler Boyd and get some depth at the receiver position? It'd be fun, I can tell you that much. What do you think? Y for yes, N for no, if Seattle should sign Tyler Boyd. Today's show was sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players in any given category. Get the choice of more or less. Whether you are talking fantasy points, maybe it's rebounds in basketball, home runs in baseball, goals in hockey, all sorts of picks to choose from. You can even look ahead to the start of the NFL season. I got our guy DK Metcalf to have more than 1,205.5 receiving yards this season, and Lamar Jackson to have more than 3,600.5 passing yards as well. If I put $20 down on this and it hits, it's going to turn into $60 on Prize Picks, folks. Play along with me. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS for a $100 deposit match on your first entry. That's promo code CLNS for that $100 deposit match. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Download Prize Picks today. Next up, a very familiar name to Seahawks fans, Rashaad Penny. He had a visit with Seattle prior to the draft. The Seahawks did not draft a running back, and we've heard John Schneider say himself that they are interested. They are open to the possibility of bringing Rashaad Penny back. Now, let's make things very clear. If the Seahawks are bringing Rashaad Penny back, it is not to take back his role as RB1 in this Seahawks offense. Definitely not. If Rashaad Penny does make a return, he's sitting behind Kenneth Walker, he's sitting behind Zach Charbonnet, and he's competing with Kenny McIntosh for playing time. And I know what some of you are going to say right away. But Tyler, we don't need Rashaad Penny when we have these 3 running backs. And we want to see Kenny McIntosh get a chance to prove himself and all that. I get it. But let's be honest, folks. This is a harsh reality that's 100% true. The Seahawks have had terrible luck the past 5+ years when it comes to injuries at the running back position. I don't even have to go back that far. I could go back to training camp of last year when all three of the Seahawks running backs were hurt at the same time. So you got to have four good backs as far as I'm concerned. Rashaad Penny is your number 3 or 4 back. I like that. I like the explosion, what he could potentially bring off the bench, have a little extra juice, if you will. I have no problem with that at all. For a very cheap contract, I'm all ears about the possibility of bringing Rashaad Penny back. Now, a name I do not want to bring back, but he's being talked about, so we included him on this list, is Jamal Adams at the safety/linebacker position. In Seattle's case, it would be as a linebacker. Schneider has left the door open for Adams. He's talked about this openly, that he said, hey, we're discussing this possibility of bringing him back, but as an off-ball linebacker. That would be his potential role if he were to return, right? And you look at Jamal Adams, okay, I have my hesitations, and I think most people do. But if I'm asking him to come off the bench, right, if I'm asking him at a much cheaper price, then this could potentially work. But I have my concerns, and you have your concerns. We're talking about him struggling in coverage, right? And the Seahawks, what they've invested at the linebacker position is guys that can cover well. We have the concerns when it comes to the injury front. I have a whole lot more concerns than I do as far as comfort level when it comes to bringing back Jamal Adams. So that's where I'm sitting here. I don't feel great about this idea. Would it surprise me if they do it? Not at all. But we shall see. If you had to pick one to bring back, are you bringing back Rashaad Penny or are you bringing back Jamal Adams? Let me know. Type P for Penny. Type A for Jamal Adams. Which one would you bring back to the Seattle Seahawks? Let us know in the comment section below. We are your one-stop shop for all things Seattle Seahawks all off-season long, folks. The NFL draft is over, but we're not going anywhere here on Seahawks Today. We'll continue talking free agency and trades, daily news and rumors, live shows on Wednesdays, and more. We are the place to be. If you're a diehard Seahawks fan, you got to lock us in and help us reach our next milestone, 52,000 subscribers here on Seahawks Today. If the Seahawks make a move of any sorts, they sign any of these players we talk about, we're going to make a video as quick as we can and bring it to you here on the channel. Subscribe now. Stay up to date. Never miss a moment. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. Next up, Emanuel Ogbah at the edge rusher position. I've been a fan of Emanuel Ogbah for a long time. I remember his days at Oklahoma State when he was a playmaker for the Cowboys. The Chiefs got him on a cheap contract, and he played a significant role in their first Super Bowl team in the Mahomes era. I've always been of the belief you can never have too many pass rushers. You're not asking Emanuel Ogbah to come in and start. You're asking him to be a rotational piece. And I think he'd be a great fit for what the Seahawks want to do. What we've seen Mike Macdonald do in his 2 years managing the Baltimore Ravens defense, he took these older, kind of forgotten about pass rushers that people had given up on, if you will. And their numbers just went off the charts. Jadeveon Clowney, case in point this past year. Kyle Van Noy. Before that, we saw several other guys do the same thing with what Mike Macdonald worked with there over the years. You look at Emanuel Ogbah. He's coming off a decent year, 5.5 sacks. He had 9 sacks back in 2021. I think this would be great for Seattle. Just have him come in, get after the quarterback, especially if there's some injuries or there. I'd feel more than comfortable with letting Emanuel Ogbah hold things down on my defense. I think he'd be a good fit for what Seattle's looking for. Last on the list, Conor McGovern. Yes, Conor McGovern. Okay, here's the Seahawks situation, the center position. You are rolling with Olu Oluwatimi right now as your starting center if the season began today. And what I wonder, how confident are the Seahawks in Olu? And even then, how comfortable are you with the depth after that? Because Nick Harris, he might be more of a fullback than he is a center in all honesty. So could you go the safe route? Could you go an insurance policy with McGovern? Not to mention he can play some guard as well. I mean, that mustache isn't messing around, folks. Nobody's messing with that guy. Got plenty of experience, 91 career starts over 102 games. Not going to cost you a ton of money. If I'm looking to play it safe, I think McGovern can be a safe bet. I know his grades weren't great last year, but still only allowed 1 sack. He knows the assignment. He knows how to get the job done. This would be something I'm very open to. Who's the player the Seahawks should sign in NFL free agency? Weigh in. Give me a name or two that comes to mind that you'd like to see the Seahawks at. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of Seahawks Today. If you enjoyed today's show, like the video. We certainly appreciate it. We'll see you next time.